Did you know that the World Health Organization officially recognizes gaming disorder as a mental health condition? Studies show that gaming addiction can lead to a wide variety of negative consequences, all the way from poor job performance and academic performance, and even to strain on some relationships. It's often misunderstood topic that I want to break down in this video. We'll explore 3 signs and symptoms of video game addiction, the impact it can have on an individual's life, and most importantly, how to seek help and regain control. If you or someone you know is struggling with excessive gaming, this video is for you. Also, stick around until the end of the video for a chance to win a product giveaway that will help you in your wellness journey. All right, let's dive into the 3 signs and symptoms of video game addiction. Number 1, using gaming to escape. For me, this was a huge one because it was a resource for me, like when I was feeling stressed or when I was feeling overwhelmed with something. It's as it states, it's a way to escape the reality of what you're facing in life. So like later in the evening when I would get done with work and I would get done with the day, I always kind of like justified it in terms like it's a way to kind of relax my mind, so to speak. But the problem was I never really was identifying the negative consequences that it was actually having in my life. I was spending way too much time uh, gaming and using that as a crutch to kind of build myself up, so to speak. So while it was providing some temporary relief from what I was feeling from a day to day, it really just exasperated all of the potential issues that I was really trying to avoid in my life. Number 2 is tolerance and escalation. So the more you play, the more I played, the more I felt like I needed more of that. I got the dopamine rush, the constant stimulation. So every time I was downstairs and I was gaming for, let's say an hour or so, it just never felt like enough. I felt like I could just go more and more. And actually my body was telling me, hey, this is kind of what's giving you that temporary relief. Now you need to chase it even harder. So I found myself, while I was somewhat intending to on many of those gaming days, to really just spend maybe just an hour and a half, 2 hours at the most, whatever the case was. And then I would, say to myself, all right, now I need to go do something like positive, maybe something that's contributing towards my goals, YouTube videos, maybe go spend some time with my wife. So, but all these things that I was neglecting because I was always kind of chasing more and more of the addiction that kind of just sucked me in. And so in the addiction world, it's known as building tolerance. So it's a very common factor in addiction. And, I think a lot of people would say like this is a key indicator that you potentially are getting addicted to something, whatever that is. In this case, it's video games. Number 3, loss of interest in other activities. So I found that the more I contributed to my gaming addiction, the less active I was. And I really do enjoy the gym. I love doing a bunch of other stuff like writing. Again, the intention way back many years ago and starting a YouTube channel was to help people. And again, the gaming addiction was pulling away from all these other things that I really like found joy in my life: walking, hiking, doing all these other extracurricular activities that really brought me a lot of joy and stuff that I enjoyed doing with like my wife and my friends and my family. This was all stuff that was really started to get pulled away, or at least I was losing interest because the more I chased that high of like the addiction part of the gaming, like the sensation, the less I was doing for these other activities. Now that we've covered the signs and symptoms of video game addiction, let's dive into why people can become addicted to video games. Understanding the underlying reasons can help us address the root causes and find effective solutions. Video game addiction isn't just about enjoying a game too much. There are complex psychological and social factors at play, so let's break them down. So number 1, I would say it's escaping reality. This one for me was really taking myself out of my own shoes and putting me into an immersive, whether that's like an RPG or an environment that I can sort of become something different. I struggled a lot with confidence and belief in myself and my abilities, and you name it. I was really scarce minded in terms of how I thought I could be, how capable I was, all this stuff. So the escaping reality part was really intriguing for me because when you're playing an RPG or a game that's immersive, you got to build that character up. It was a way that I could really control how that character was going to be developed. And now knowing that I do have control over my life and how much knowledge I have or my skill set, I can build that up myself. But when I was in the midst of this gaming addiction, it was really just a way to escape the reality because I was still having hindrance with my own personal belief in myself. And that was a huge when I was able to climb out of that and really recognize it for what it was a huge step forward for me in my personal growth journey. Number two, instant gratification. You're playing a game and you're getting immediate feedback or like that satisfaction of completing a quest or obtaining that piece of equipment or beating the game, whatever have you. There's a compelling component to completing a level and then the challenge of getting to the next level, so on and so forth. So it was that dopamine effect that was really creating that sense of euphoria and the sense of accomplishment that I just didn't really feel like I was getting in my own personal life at the time. And number three is pretty much just routine and habit. I had consistently over years and years and years, after a long day of work, with my friends, my brothers really who were into gaming as well. And I started at a very young age. So I always had the new Xbox. I always had the new PlayStation. So I was always getting the next best thing. Every night at 9, 10 o'clock, whatever the case was for that particular day, it just had become a habitual thing that we did. We were coming together, we were playing video games, and we were escaping the reality that we were, the reality of our lives. And that's not to say that our lives were necessarily bad, although there were components of it that were definitely compounded because of video games, and that really started to take control, which is what led to me really identifying that video game was an addiction for me, and it was more of a hindrance than a good thing. So the routine and the habit of it really started to take over my life, and it took a while to really recognize it for what it was, but all these signs and symptoms were really huge indicators for me. And so understanding these factors is crucial for addressing video game addiction. It's not just about cutting down the screen time, it's about finding healthy ways to meet these psychological and social needs. So I want to highlight the 3 key signs that was a huge indicator for me in helping me realize that I was addicted to video games. And I want to emphasize that these behaviors can negatively impact your life if you do recognize this same pattern in your own life. So number 1, neglecting your responsibilities. If you're in school, if you have a job, whatever kind of job that is, if you're neglecting your schoolwork, you're not doing your homework, you're failing your tests, your quizzes. Conversely, if you're at work and you're not giving the same commitment to your work, maybe your work is starting to struggle and now your bosses or supervisors are starting to recognize this. These are all telling signs that you may have an addiction problem if it's pulling away from your main responsibilities from your day to day. And so when gaming takes priority over your life, it really can lead to these severe negative consequences. Maybe you end up losing your job. Maybe you fail the class at school that you really know you shouldn't be failing. All of these things are contributing factor to these these responsibilities that you're neglecting. And so the number 2 would be withdrawal from social activities. If you find yourself constantly removing yourself from social gatherings, so if you're out with friends and you just feel like you want to rush home and play video games, maybe you're losing time with your family and you're at a family gathering and you're, realize you're not paying attention while family's there. All these things really contribute to this notion that you may be addicted to video games. I just want to make a very clear point here in that this isolation from the withdrawal from social activities can lead to feelings of loneliness and severe depression, further reinforcing the cycle of addiction. So if this isn't something that you can identify and you don't realize it's a problem, this can lead to some really severe consequences that really compound over time. So number 3 would be loss of control. This one is a huge one because it kind of ties in all of these other attributes together. If you feel like you are losing control of your ability to stop yourself from playing ungodly amounts of hours of video games, which can lead to, again, as I mentioned previously, depression, it's also can severely disrupt your daily activities, and you can lose sleep, your sleep patterns get messed up, and just your overall well-being is affected. This is no bueno. So this is something that you really want to watch and recognize when you're doing your self-introspection and your self-reflection on, is video game a problem for me? Definitely loss of control is something you really want to look closely at. These behaviors can profoundly impact one's life, leading to a downward spiral affecting mental, physical, and emotional health. Neglecting these responsibilities can create stress and conflict in a person's life, both personally and professionally. Withdrawing from social activities can damage your relationships and lead to severe depression. All right, so let's quickly recap the main points that we discussed about gaming addiction. We identified key signs of video game addiction, such as neglecting responsibilities, withdrawing from social activities, and losing control over your gaming habits. We broke down some of the possibilities of recognizing the impact that this gaming addiction can have on your life, such as personal relationships, academic and professional performance, and definitely impacting your overall health. And lastly, we explored the psychological and social factors that contribute to video game addiction, such as escapism, instant gratification, and the need for social connection and achievement. Overcoming gaming addiction can be very challenging, but with the right support system and the right mindset, you have all the tools you need at your disposal to overcome this. All right, so if you stayed through this entire video, I want to thank you. And as I mentioned early on, I want to do a giveaway. So if you made it to the end of the video, please comment, like this video down below. I'll pick the comment down in the comment section just by random who will win a free Driven Aminos. This is my supplement company that I've had for about a year now. So I'm very excited to share this with you guys. And again, comment down below, like the video, subscribe, all that great stuff. And I will pick a random winner at a given time, and I will create a video or a short just kind of announcing who I ended up picking for the winner of this little giveaway. Lastly, guys, remember to stay positive. Every little step in the right direction in terms of reducing your gaming habit is a little small win that you can utilize, and you just got to stick to that. Everything that I've illustrated in this video is, I think, can be very helpful for you in the future. And if you need any more clarification on some other steps that you can take, go ahead and watch this video next.